Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Atishamali Azhar. Today we are talking about claim material and its traceability. It's a very important topic regarding the assessment point of view. Secondly, most of the customers and as per the US regulatory requirements, the all the products which are being produced anywhere in the world can be traceable throughout the supply chain from the raw material to the shipment. And as per the regulatory requirements of the US, they can talk about any PO and ask the supplier to produce the documents to the US customs, and as per the requirement we have to produce up to 24 hours. All the documents will be available and send it to the supplier or the retailer who demand these documents. So today topic is related to the claim material and its traceability, how we can trace the all the requirements according to the process, according to the process and according to the US security requirements. So first of all, we should know about what is claim material. A claim material is defined as a material involved in a material content statement and or usage of a trademark name. The most important thing is what we are going to claim in the product. So the statement shows the content is the material we can be defined as a claim material. For instance, here we can say in a box mentioned over there in red bold color shows 60% cotton plus 40% recycled pre-consumer polyester. Here the statement claim about the product, about the raw material, which shows that the 40% recycled pre-consumer polyester is the claim material in which the product is being used. Here in this slide we are talking about the claim materials. There are two groups. The first group shows the product verified through testing, or we can say these are all the standards or all the logos, all the claim material which can be verified through lab testing, which includes organic compound standards OCS, GOTS Global Organic Textile Standards, Ocotex, Made in Green, Cradle to Cradle and Egyptian cotton. In these groups we can say that these products or the claim material can be verified through lab testing. While on the other hand, we have a second group of material which cannot be verified through lab testing, or you can say that the product claim or we mention on the labels cannot be verified through lab testing, which includes the Better Cotton Initiatives, BCI, GRS, Global Recycle Standard, Supima Organic Cotton, the RCS Recycle Claim Standards. Now we can understand the difference between the RCS and the GRS, because when there are some requirements when you are going to claim any material, there are certain requirements which should be met. So first of all, we discuss about the RCS. The standard applies to the product that contains 5% or more recycled content, means that 5% or more recycled content can be used in this product. But the RCS does not address social or environmental aspects of processing and manufacturing quality or legal compliance. While on the other hand, we can see that the Global Recycle Standard or GRS, the standard applies to a product that contains 20% or more recycled content. Some expectations may apply. The most important thing in this clause is only products with at least 50% recycled content qualify for product specific GRS labeling. If we are going to claim GRS, it is mandatory that the recycled content must be 50%, at least 50% or more. The standard established criteria for social and environmental principle in processing GRS certified products. While on the other hand, RCS does not cover the social and environmental aspect, while in GRS during the audit they are covering all the social and environmental aspects of the factory. The standard restrict the use of hazardous chemical in the processing of GRS products. Definitely is as per the requirements, all the ZDSC requirements and all the international standards are applied on GRS products, which are which is specific for the chemicals. It does not address the chemical present in the reclaimed material or what may be present in the final GRS product. Here we can discuss about the difference between the OCS and GOTS. The OCS organic cotton standard applies to any non-food product containing 95 to 100% organic material. It verifies the presence and amount of organic material in the final product and stacks to flow the raw material from its source to the final product. While on the other hand, GOTS, the Global Organic Textile Standards, define requirements to ensure organic status of textile, not the food, from harvesting of the raw material through environmentally and socially responsible manufacturing up to labeling in order to provide a credible assurance to the end consumer. So, definitely the GOTS is more focused about the organic from the fields up to the labeling, means all the process including to produce a product is covered in GOTS standard, which also focus on social as well as the environmental aspects. On the other hand, we have a difference between the organic cotton and the BCI, Better Cotton Initiatives or BCI cotton. There is some confusion about the BCI, so here we can address this thing. The organic cotton is grown without harmful chemicals, leaving the soil, air and water free from contaminants that cause harm. Organic cotton produces around 46% less CO2 compared to conventional cotton. It also used for less water grow since organic cotton grows specially typically utilize rainwater or rain for more than irrigation. Or you can say the organic cotton is the environment friendly and water efficient cotton. While on the other hand, the Better Cotton Initiative, the BCI cotton, is the world's leading sustainable initiative for cotton. Their mission is to help cotton communities survive and thrive while protecting and restoring the environment. Though the BCI side, the more important in the covering in bold blue color, the BCI cotton promotes better working conditions for farmers and farm workers concerning health and safety, freedom of association, child labor, forced labor and non-discrimination. BCI cotton is a traceable to farm to field level. So, here the BCI more focus about the social aspects covering all the workers protection, their child labor and forced labor and the discrimination aspects. While on the other hand, organic cotton is totally and you can say the environment friendly cotton. So, this is the difference between the BCI and the organic cotton. Now, come to the topic again, why claim material traceability? Why it is so important to trace the claim material up to the raw material end. When we are when we are conducting the audit or the third party conduct the audit, their main focus upon the standards requirements and they do not check the thoroughly the systems. While the traceability system, while we are conducting a traceability of the any product, it thoroughly check the effectiveness of the traceability system throughout the supply chain, from the procurement to the shipment. The objective of claim material traceability is to establish, to verify the traceability of claim finished products right till the raw material stage. Raw materials definitely means when you procurement the raw material in term of cotton, in term of anything. For instance, if you are procurement from the spinning end or you can procure the yarn, definitely the raw material should be yarn, definitely the yarn raw material should be the cotton. So, we have to go up to the main raw material that is from the cotton. So, when you are going to taste the, any raw material or claim material, we start from the cotton till shipment. This can be very well achieved by assigning unique identification numbers to each lot of raw material at the time of physical receipt of the factory. There are a lot of mechanism involved how to trace a product. The best practice, you can say, that whenever the procurement or you procure any cotton or any raw material, it should be identified by a unique lot number that could be traceable up to the end. These numbers should align with the supplier's invoices and should be mentioned on raw material label, bales, job cards, or any other identification label used within the factory to identify claim material at every stage of the processing, right from the raw material stage to the finished product. For instance, you purchase the raw material cotton from the supplier, definitely you can assign a unique lot number and that on the bales, and it should be mentioned or the proper identification should be there on the bales that it could be traceable in the godowns, and whenever any third party or any third eye can easily identify that these are the unique numbers or these are identification to which the claim material can be easily identified. Along with traceability, the factory should have an effective quality QMS, which should be governed by a set of standard operating procedures. For instance, the production control systems, quality systems, checking systems, all involved with the systems. With an effective traceability mechanism established, the factory should be able to identify the exact lot, supplier invoice, and supplier name of the raw material from which the claim product was made for the last 5 years. After the US regulatory requirement, you should have 5 years record in our system, as per the US regulatory requirements. So this chart will help you from which stage the claim material standard requirement is mandatory. For instance, the first column shows the polyester, the claim material recycled polyester. The third column we can say certification, the RCS recycled claim material standard or the GRS global recycling standard is required. The document requirement is claim material traceability, certification of RCS GRS and transaction certificate. You should know that in GRS and RCS the transaction certificate is mandatory from the raw material supplier up to the shipment. The source guide shows the material recycling processor, extruding, spinning, gray fabric, knitting, weaving, finished fabric, dyeing, printing, finished, and cut to pack. So these column, for instance, this one, the first column shows the traceability starts from the recycled processor, that's the raw material supplier. For instance, you are talking about the cotton or the polyester. The polyester manufacturer starts from here, again the spinning, then gray fabric, knitting or weaving, and the finished fabric, printed, dye and printing, processing section, and then cut to pack section. So here in this slide we can identify the raw material flow diagram, through which we can easily say that in process, here the first column shows the processes, the second column shows the raw material procurement. The first column, let's suppose the yarn spinning is the process, and what are the material required? So material purchase order is required for the raw material side. Supplier's valid scope means the supplier's certificate showing the scope of the product. For instance, if the 50% recycled contents, it should be mentioned in the certificate scope. Third is product is covered in a scope. That is the product we are claiming are covered in this certificate scope. Third is the quantity of the cotton or polyester, the ratio. Let's suppose the 45% cotton or 55% polyester. These type of ratio should be mentioned. Quality of cotton and polyester, that's a single carded or you can say the 100%. These type of content should be mentioned on the scope of the requirements. The second column shows the receipt of the raw material. First, when you receive the raw material, definitely you need the cotton polyester PO, description of PO matched with the supplier invoices, and a supplier delivery challan. A description means anything which I mentioned in the description of the content, 100% or 45% cotton and 55% polyester. So this description should mention on the supplier invoices as well as the supplier delivery challans. That is very important. Third stage, the raw material storage. Here we need a dedicated storage areas which should be properly identified. For instance, when you receive the cotton or the polyester, and in godowns, definitely we have a dedicated in the godowns, and it should be properly identified. As per previous slides, we understand that each and every lot, each and every batch, or you can say the bale, should be identified with unique lot number. So at the receiving stage, you should have a dedicated area in the godowns. Secondly, you should mention a properly identified lot number assigned to that lot number, and should be posted on that lot number, which can be easily traceable throughout this process. Second, identification number, supplier delivery quantity match with the inventory. For instance, is the bales quantity in terms of kgs should match with the supply invoice or delivery challan. Third one, the goods inward records. Definitely, if the factory have a proper system, the inward records, the inward challans should be available in the system, or hard copies are available. These raw material, then the second stage, raw material issued to the processes. For instance, if you have a raw material in terms of cotton, in terms of polyester, you issue to the spinning section, then the raw material issuance PO and material gate process is available to verify the quantity and ensure that these raw material, this lot number are issued to the production side. In production, each and every stage are mentioning these lot number for traceability purpose. For instance, match receive quantity with job number, internal gate passes, identification of name material, color bands. For instance, if you are using the raw material, let's say RCS is used, definitely you can see is identified into different color bands. Color coding system can be used in the production sites. In processing, definitely in spinning, we can use the color bands and identify on the floor that's the RCS spotted or the lot number for RCS is used the green beans or red beans or white beans as per the requirement. Wastage records are very important. Throughout every stage of the process, you should have a document which mention the wastage record on each stage of the production. Then the production records in terms of production report are available of each stage of the production. The finished product storage, when the in terms of spinning, definitely when we complete all processes and we have a yarn, this yarn should be move forward to the warehouse, finished warehouse, where a dedicated area are mentioned and dedicated lot number also mentioned on yarn bags, where can easily traceable throughout the process. Identification of yarn bags, again the yarn inventory is available, then total number of bags is produced against these lots or against these bales. And then delivery documents means when you dispatch the yarn to the weaving side or any other place, definitely should have a proper yarn invoices against supplier's PO with claim material details, delivery documents and transaction certificate is mandatory in terms of GRS or RCS. The same is applied on the weaving and knitting, processing and cut to pack. So we again take another example of cut to pack. For instance, if we have gray fabric, cut to pack means definitely we receive a dyed fabric from the processing. So we should have a dyed knit fabric proper identification placed on designated racks. Internal gate pass should be there. A dyed printed woven batches receiving the cutting with proper identification. You can identify the batch or you can identify the batcher through tape or through other color code. It's up to you. It's up to the management. Whatever is easier for them. The best thing you can apply is the mentioned GRS or the RCS tape on batches to sharp colors, which can be easily traceable throughout the process. It is very difficult to assign area for batches in the processing section. Definitely, you can easily identify through color coding throughout the process. In dyed printed woven fabric, rolls places on dedicated area with proper identification. Raw material issuance in cut fabric issued to the pallets with proper identification slip. We mentioned the GRS or RCS products. The raw material issuance is the cut panel issued to production, identify slips, and the production reports with PO number. In production, you should have production reports, inspection reports, checking, packing, identifying proper identification, checking reports and wastage record. Wastage record is very important on each process till spinning, till shipment. From spinning till shipment, you should have a wastage record of each process. Again, the finished product storage area where we stack all the productions cartons. The finished carton storage a dedicated and identified area where all the GRS or the claim material are packed material are placed on a proper identification area. So for delivery side, definitely you should have proper invoice, packing list, BL, export documents are mentioned, and the transaction certificate is mandatory for shipment documents. These are the mandatory 6 requirements, 5 requirements for claim and traceability structure. You can say that the first of all, the QMS system. If you are not certified for ISO 9001, doesn't mean that you should have, but you should have a quality management system in your factory. The second thing is supplier evaluation management system, that each supplier should be evaluated for the claim material assessment. Third is raw material storage mechanism. How do you store your raw material in terms of base, in terms of yarn, bags, in terms of fabric, in terms of batches, in terms of finished cartons. Fourth one is the production process control, how you control your processes. The third one is the final product packaging and storage. Here we are discussing about the supplier evaluation management, which is very important for the claim material traceability system. Suppliers are available in approved supplier. You should have a approved supplier list, first of all, from all suppliers, to raw material to the packaging. All suppliers, that is polyester, yarn, spinning, woven, all suppliers should have in a proper supply list. In case of recycle, all suppliers audit is mandatory for traceability. Recycle means in case of claim material, all these suppliers audit is mandatory for traceability. First of all, definitely if we are facing the audits for traceability, definitely the same thing you apply for your suppliers. You have to conduct the suppliers audit for their traceability system is intact or not. In case of customers nominated suppliers, preferred suppliers with any other requirement, it must be complied, that is for CMA. Supplier list be downloaded from the POL portal, or other requirements for other customer definitely have other portals. So you can download the supplier nominated suppliers from their portal and should be the part of your supplier list. Supplier approved ID will be ensured by adding column in database or ERP. Every portal, you can say for every customer is conducted their suppliers audit, and these records are available on their portal with validity of the certificates or audit. It is very important that every customer is audited. Every supplier is audited by the customer should have a proper validity date, and this validity date should be the part of your supplier list. Here the example, the supplier evaluation management. From this example is downloaded from the POL. Definitely shows the two suppliers of the polyester. One is the ICI and the second is the panicle fiber. And the red highlighted red column, you can say the last column is the RMA approval date, where it is validity date is very important, and it should be the part of your supplier list. In the second column, we are mentioning the approved supplier list. Here is the two columns which was mentioned in the previous slide. There is nominated approved customer. You can mention this thing in your column. And the last column, the validity of this audit is mentioned in your approved supplier list, where it is very traceable for you to identify that this supplier is valid, or this certificate or this audit is valid up to that date. Here is the list of you can make a supplier audit checklist. Here all the traceability requirements are met. Here is the example of some points where you can see the all raw material supply used program are subject to traceability audit. Traceability audit will be conducted from raw material received until shipment. Here is the example of raw material storage, how the raw material are stored. For instance, if you are talking about the fiber, so you can conduct the audit of your fiber suppliers. For instance, in case of raw GRS fiber, or so we example is the panicle fiber. Definitely we have conducted the audit of panicle fiber. In this case, we can the same traceability drill will be conducted that how they supplier evaluation, how they issue a PO to the supplier. For instance, the bottles came from, where they place these bottles, and all the processes. The should align the lot number, assign the lot number to each process. Again, these lot number testing to their lab test records are there, and how the final products are stored in a dedicated area on the finished grounds. So these are the reports I mentioned. Here the third part is the raw material storage mechanism, how the products are stored in your facility. So the first column shows the process in the yarn spinning section. A spinning section is separate area in cotton polyester cool-down with proper identification of packaging of bales, and the finished product storage is separate area for yarn and finished ground as a proper identification and identification on yarn bags. The same in weaving, knitting and processing. You can see the picture shows the area identification. For instance, we are talking about the knitting, the dedicated area for yarn with proper identification, yarn identification on bags. In processing, the first thing is dedicated area for grey fabric with proper identification in grey storage, and the second is the knit grey fabric dedicated storage with proper identification with GRS tape or anything you can easily identify it. So the picture will show you the exact picture, the exact requirements. For instance, the first picture shows the dedicated area marking. The second picture shows the knit fabric with identification tape. The GRS tape is mentioned on there. Again, the third one is the GRS fabric storage area or the area identification to boards and everything. Here the batches. In batches, definitely the job cards are mentioned with all the details are there. So you can change the color coding, or you can change the color of the job card. For instance, in GRS, we can use orange cards or any other cards with the colorful cards for easy identification of the GRS, as well as for the workers to understand these are the GRS or a claim material product. In this picture, on the batcher is covered and sheet from three sides. The tape is binding over there to identify the batcher is GRS. In cut to pack stage area, the each and every process cutting, checking, packing sections are identified through color coding to understand that these lines or these tables are dedicated for claim material products. Here is the process, the production process control. For instance, in the previous slides we are talking about different area identification, process controls, and here we some examples of it. The area identification, lot number, color, job card and update register in gray section. In processing, we are selecting knit dyeing, in dyeing identification with color cards, lot wise production records, centering identification with orange card, lot wise cards, in dry identification orange cards, lot wise records, compacting identification with orange cards, lot wise records, wasted records, and so and so. So lab is there. Here we can test all the stages of reports. The folding, in folding area identification with GRS tape lot wise entry, and from lab GSM is checking from cut to pack. The production records, identification, segregation wise and the waste records are mandatory, cutting till up to the shipments, and stitching, checking, packing, the same thing. The production is record, identification, segregation, waste records are mandatory, and the warehouse, dedicated area for warehouse, proper identification, and then export records are there or to control the all claim material traceability. In quality management system, these are the 9 mandatory requirements. Let's suppose the company claim material policy, SOPs for each and every stages, should have a complaint mechanism, record keeping procedures. For instance, you have a manual reports, physical reports or ERP reports. Training procedure, how do you identify the training, how do you conduct the training for the workers for traceability. For instance, for example, is the processing job cards. If the orange card is used for GRS, the worker should know, and not there should be a mechanism to understand of the workers that these training poster will be available on floors. Third is the internal periodic traceability inspection drills that could show that your system is properly monitoring and is verified. FATI legal documents and third-party certification process. For instance, the certification audit reports and certificate. So again, the FATI requirement in this section, we can easily identify each section and their requirement. For instance, procurement, we need a certificate, and whether supplier has a various certificate with the scope of the production, the raw material storage receipts, raw material storage, production requirements, and finished product requirements at the end, and same delivery. So each section has been clearly identified with the requirements in this slide. So these are definitions covering what is material recycling, post-consumer material, what is the pre-consumer material. These definitions you will understand what the exact requirements and exact definition of the material itself. This is thank you very much for the participating in this training. If you have any query, please contact dxlp2002@gmail.com for anything. Thank you very much.